Hello, everybody. It is 2:33 on the West Coast. It is 5:33 on the East Coast. So that means it's cocktail hour. Welcome to our second episode of a little series we're calling Sip and Talk. I've been working closely with Jane Walker ever since they announced their first campaign. They celebrate women who are the first to do things in their field. They're breaking boundaries. They're doing cool things. They're setting an example for the women who come after them. So we're really excited, especially it's Women's History Month, as you all know. And I'm partnering with Jane Walker by Johnny Walker to celebrate that and some really cool women. So as you know from last week, if you were with us, we start by talking to a mixologist. But today, a real treat, we're talking to a master blender named Emma Walker, and then we'll be talking to the incredible Diane von Furstenberg, DVF as her friend. And hi, everybody. So Emma is going to join us and tell us what a master blender is. You know, more and more women are getting into mixology. Hi, Emma.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thank you for letting us join your live show today.
Well, I'm so excited to have you, Emma, because you're a master blender. You're in charge of coaxing blends out of more than 10 million mature casks of scotch. So, Emma, I'm not sure what exactly that means, but tell us what, first, before we talk about what a master blender does, tell me about your background and how you because it's so
I'm just checking that's not frozen. Yep, it's working now. My background is I'm a chemist by trade. So I was an undergrad at Edinburgh University and then did my PhD at Sheffield, and then moved back up to Scotland and applied for a job as a project scientist at Diageo at Menstrie. When I turned up for the interview, there was Dr. Jim Beveridge and all these other amazing names from whiskey that were interviewing me. I was like, you can be a whiskey scientist. Who knew?
Well, wait a second, Emma. His name was really Jim Beveridge, and by the way, you're Emma Walker. No,
yeah. No, we're big on nominative determination, I think.
That is so funny. So he interviewed you, and he told you that you could get this job, right?
Yeah. So interviewed us, and I realized then everything was about flavor. Even in the interview, we were asked to nose glasses and describe what we could smell in the glass. So it was really interesting, even from that very first time of meeting everyone. It was all about flavor, what's in the glass, and how do you talk about it? Because there's 14 of us in the team, there's 12 blenders, and we all need to be able to talk to each other about what we smell in the glass and how we want to bring whiskies together. So I might not have had the vocabulary on that first day, but it's the big test is, can you nose a whiskey? Can you talk about the flavors that you can smell and taste? And that's one of the big steps to get through the door. And then you start the new job of just learning about whiskey and where flavor comes from in the production process, from distillery and from maturation.
Well, I'm gonna pour a little glass of scotch, and I want you to tell me. I'm just a fingerful, and I want you to tell me, Emma, what kinds of things do I look for, or what kinds of things do I smell? Because I actually like scotch. I never did before, and I've actually my taste buds and have matured. And so tell me what I'm looking for and how I really truly enjoy and savor a fine scotch, Emma.
So the whiskey we've both got in our hand is the Jane Walker, which is a 10-year-old blended malt scotch. And the whiskey that's at the heart of this is Cardew whiskey. And for me, when you walk into the still house at Cardew, you get sort of apples, you get pears, and you start to get sort of, as that matures, you start to almost go to ripe bananas, and you've just got those flavors start to come through. So this whiskey was built around Cardew. It's at the heart of Johnny Walker, the Johnny Walker family of blends, but it's also at the heart of this whiskey. And that was partly so we could celebrate the amazing people, the amazing women that have been involved in it's an amazing part of the history of Johnny Walker. So Elizabeth Cummings, she was the person that actually sold Cardew to the Walker family in, I've just got to look at my notes because I can't remember dates, 1893. And that since then, it's always been a big part of the flavors. So for me, it was important to have in there. But on the nose, the other flavors that I get are, you get like a lovely sort of cereal malty note that comes through. It's almost like a little bit nutty, but it's balanced perfectly with these lovely fresh fruit notes. So you're getting those vibrant green apples that just make me think of Cardew, and you're almost up in Speyside, sitting at the top of the hill, looking down towards the Spey and the sunshine. It just immediately takes me there.
And what's the best way to take a sip, Emma? I mean, just give me instructions. Do you hold it in your mouth? What do you do? Tell me about how do you experience it?
A good way to do it first is actually just take a sip of water, if you have some to hand, because that sort of hydrates the mouth, and then take a sip. You let it sit on your tongue a little bit, sort of move around, and then swallow. What you do is some of those vibrant flavours, the fresher notes, sort of go up to the nose, but you get the lovely long finish that comes down your throat and continues. So you start to get, for me, just get a lovely creamy effect on the palate. It's lovely. It's mouth coated. It's almost slightly waxy. And it makes it really nice and smooth. So even at bottle strength, it's very easy on the palate. But you get some of that build up of flavour. So you start to get this lovely dark chocolate flavour comes through.
Yeah.
But it's lightened as well by these lovely fruity notes. So you're still getting a bit of apple. You're getting some lovely white peaches sort of starting to build up. But there's a little bit of spice. It's almost like if you've baked your peaches with a little bit of cinnamon or a little bit of nutmeg. So the spice actually breaks that up and stops it becoming too sweet, and it just all comes together. It's a lovely whiskey.
And do you generally drink it straight up or over ice?
It all depends on what mood you're in, I think, and that's one of the great things about whiskey is it's a great drink to have and to enjoy, but how you drink it is often reflects who you're drinking it with and the reason that you're drinking. So I do like it straight, but I love it over a piece of ice, because it makes it more viscous. It almost thickens it, so it becomes even more coating. But then it changes as it warms up in your mouth. So you start to get different flavors developing as you're drinking the whiskey, and as the ice melts, it starts to open up in different ways. So it might start off as quite thick, quite viscous, and you get some of the sort of the heavier, maltier flavors. And then as it sort of dilutes, you start to get more of that freshness coming through. So it sort of changes as it comes through. But that's part of the reason that I love as well whiskey cocktails, highball, because they still have that lovely whiskey flavour at the heart, but you can bring out different flavours as you're working with them.
Well, it's so nice to meet you, Emma, because I've never met a master blender. And congratulations on your big job. Kudos. And you were responsible for blending Jane Walker. So, yeah. I mean, that's only appropriate. So that's awesome. And thank you for talking with me today. Thank you for teaching me a little more about how to truly enjoy and appreciate that. By the way, I'm talking to Emma Walker, no relation to Jane or Johnny. She's a master blender. She blended Jane Walker, a delicious Scotch whiskey, and Jane Walker sponsoring my conversations with some really kick-ass women for this month, for Women's History Month. So Emma, thanks a lot. It's really nice to meet you. And where do you live now? You have such a nice accent.
So I'm in the north of Edinburgh, so I'm just in Leith, and then I work at Menstrie, so just towards Stirling. So it's just a little bit of a drive to get to work every day, but it's beautiful countryside, so
it's worth
the drive.
Well, if I'm ever across the pond, let's have a scotch together, Emma.
That sounds amazing. That would be great.
So nice to meet you. Thanks, Emma. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers to women.
Cheers.
Cheers. And now we're going to talk to an incredibly accomplished woman. And in fact, I am wearing one of her dresses right now. I have kind of an updated wrap dress because we're going to chat with Diane von Furstenberg about her extraordinary, enduring career, because she's been, in the fashion business since 1970. She designed the wrap dress in 1976, and it's still going strong. More than 5 million wrap dresses, by the way, have been sold. So good for her. And at only 29 years old, you guys, Diane was featured on the cover of Newsweek magazine. I admire her so much because she continues to do new things, take on new challenges, and reinvent herself. Hi, Diane.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm
Can you,
good. Look,
can
I have one of your dresses on. Can you
I
see?
know I can. I can. Oh, look how cute you look. You look like a little girl.
It's very comfortable and I love it. And it's so cool and
Bring it.
easy to wear on a lot of different body types, I have to say, right?
Well, it's nice for Zoom because it has the sleeve has a nice little detail. Can you see me?
I can see you. We have some comments. Can everybody see Diane? I was saying, Diane, that when I'm with you and when I've seen you and Barry always says Dion. But which do you prefer, Diane or Dion?
Well, my name is Diane. I was born Diane, but I answer to Diane, of course.
Well, then I'm going to call you Dion because I'm going to call you by your given name. So tell me, you've been very busy during quarantine. What have you been up to?
Well, I wrote a book. Own it. The Secret to Life. Oh, you got it. What did you think?
I think it's great. Tell us about, I mean, it's nice because it has just little snippets of advice that I think you've learned through your illustrious career. Tell me why you wanted to write this.
I know. Is there any way that I have to, I'm going to have the comments? I could turn myself off because you can't see me.
Should I turn here? Should we get rid of it? Oh, we can't. We can't. I think I think it's because you're so popular. What can I say?
All right. Okay. So what can I say? It started that, um, when I was growing up, people would say, "What did you want to do when you grow up?" And I always said, "Well, I don't know what I want to do, but I know the kind of woman I want to be. I want to be a woman in charge." Then later, I became a woman in charge because of a little dress, and then people would say, "Who are you dressing for? Who is your woman?" And I would say the same thing. My woman is the woman in charge. So in charge became an umbrella for my life, for my brand, for everything. And I always celebrate International Women's Day, week, months. And 2 years ago, I created the movement to be in charge. But to be in charge is not an aggressive thing. To be in charge is first and foremost a commitment to ourselves. It's owning who we are. We own our imperfection, they become our asset. We own our vulnerability, it turns into strength. And so the publisher came to me and they said, you want to be an oracle and you love to give advice because I've gotten to the age that, that's what I can do. And they said, we do so well with these little guides, and we would like you to write a book in charge. So I was going to write this book in charge, and first it was going to be prose, written. And my first line was, "We don't choose our parents," because that is very provocative. But it's the first thing that if you tell that to anyone, people say, "Oh, no, that's true." So basically, if you can now choose your parents, you have to own who you are and be the best at who you are. So anyway, because everything was going back to own it, I decided to call the book Own It. And then instead of writing it as a prose, I decided that I was going to write it as a dictionary. So I picked 268 words that either talk to me, speak to me, or some don't speak to me. And I turn it into a dictionary. And no matter what I say, it always goes back to own it, the secret to life. But as I was starting it last year, this time, I said, I had already started it, but as I got really into the midst of it, there was COVID. And then all of a sudden, everything became even more, you know, everything, every word had more importance, more significant, more everything. And so that's it. So that I finished it. I'm very proud of it. It's very, it's, it's, um, it's a guide you can give to anyone. It is serious, but very fun, serious, but serious. Serious doesn't have to be boring, but it's serious.
And you know, you've done so many things, and I'm just curious. I think a lot of people are afraid of failure, and they also are, you know, when you are knocked down, it's sometimes hard to brush yourself up off, pick yourself up, and as the song says, start all over again. And I'm curious, what has been sort of the biggest disappointment in your career, and how were you able to shake it off?
You know, you forget pain, right? You remember, oh, I was in pain, but you are not able to describe pain. Pain is something we forget. I, because of my mother and because of my background and my origin, I was never allowed to blame, to shame, to to complain, and certainly I was not allowed to be afraid. Fear was not an option. So when I had a lot of successes and I had lots of failures, and often I feel like a loser still now, but what I realize my strength has been is that I have somehow never lied to myself. And that has been a great source of resilience and strength. I try not to be delusional, and I try to be really honest with yourself. And life is an adventure, and you can't possibly keep on going up, up, up. It doesn't exist. And also I think it's important for people to know that sometimes they think you're up there because you're on the cover of magazine and you look like whatever. But things aren't so good inside. You know that. You've gone through all kinds of ups and downs and losses and things like that. But you you have always you. A very wise man said to me that you could lose the only thing that you can totally count on is your character, right? You can lose your health, your wealth, your beauty, your your freedom, everything. But you never lose your character, even under torture. So all of that, relationship with yourself, your character, all of this is makes the little house inside yourself that becomes your shelter, and that becomes the refuge, and it becomes where you go and get the strength. So in the year like COVID, for example, business, you can imagine what business is like, and especially that because when I had big success, and then I sold my company, and then I started again. It was all the way down, and I started again. So you cannot always go on and on, there. And then you hire people, they do the wrong things. So when COVID happened, I thought, you know what? This is going to be for me the opportunity to go back to the core, to close the stores I didn't need to have, to do these things like that. And it's hard. But I wanted to share it because it's important for everyone to know that everyone goes through difficult times.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it's so interesting that you still at times feel like a loser,
Oh
you
my God.
know?
Today was one of those days. I mean, it's not, then I get out, I start doing things and I change. But yes, but that's because we're all like that. Don't you ever feel like a loser?
Oh my God, I feel like a loser all the time. Are you kidding?
And
Yes, all the time. I
exactly.
know, I know you did a master class. Did you have fun doing that? Someone just said that they really loved your master class.
Yes, it was a big production, and so the lighting was good and so on. Yeah, I did that a few years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago. It was good. I've never actually watched it, but maybe
I know that I know what's so wonderful is you've spent so much of the later part of your career while you're still busy designing and doing what you do so well. You've spent so much time giving back to other women, celebrating women, holding them up, making sure that they succeed. And I'm just curious how much joy and satisfaction, Dion, that you've gotten from that in recent years.
At this point, I always born on New Year's Eve, so I have my New Year's resolution, and I always divide my life: family, brand, me. Right. So my family, my children, everybody is wonderful. My brand, we're taken care of, but the me, what I was thinking, what is the purpose of me, me, the person, for the rest of my life, now that I'm an older lady? And I was thinking that what is important for me is to make an impact and to use my voice, my experience, my knowledge, my connections, and my resources in order to help as many women as possible to be the women they want to be. And there are so many extraordinary women. You have come to one of my DVF awards,
Yes.
right? And now this year, it's 11 years now, and these women have become my family, and these women do incredible work. They have the courage to fight, and the strength to survive, and the leadership to inspire, and they are so incredible that if I can give these women exposure and resources, then they themselves give it to so many women. So this has been, I'm a feminist with as many M as possible. Always have been a feminist, and I always will be.
I think your whole aura is, if you feel good about yourself, and that I think that gives you confidence. And if you have confidence, then that's incredibly empowering.
But
And
that's owning it. You own your imperfection. You don't like your nose. Okay, this is my nose. I own it. Then you realize your nose is an asset because it gives your personality,
and it's unique to you.
and it works in your face, and it's meant to be like that. And if you own it, automatically people will notice this more. This own it, in my family, they don't even want me to say those two words again, but because I say it all the time. But it applies for everything. It applies for children. It applies if you have a flood in your apartment. It applies if you have a fight with your man. It applies with everything. Just own it.
Well, but before we go, I have to ask you, who are some of the women who have inspired you and opened doors for you, Dion, that really have helped you get to where you are today? Are there people that for Women's History Month you'd like to look to and thank?
Oh, I would like to thank, well, I thank my mother. The women in my family, my mother, my daughter, my granddaughters have been most helpful to me. Diana Vreeland, who is no longer alive, helped me enormously. And then the women I admire, I would like to thank is, here, I'm reading right now, where is it? Where is it? I'm reading a biography of Mother Teresa. Whether it's Mother Teresa or it is Isabel Wilkinson or it is Marlene. There's so many women that I so admire and respect, and I'm happy to be a woman.
Well, and I also, I think that you're so beautiful, but some people have said, you have aged so beautifully. And I think there's so much pressure for women when they get to be a certain age to do what they can to make them look so much younger. And how can we change sort of this ageism that is still so prevalent in our society? You're an example of an incredible woman doing extraordinary things and not letting age get in your way or the perception of age.
I never understood this thing with age. You know, when a child is, oh, you're 10 years old, oh, you're 12 years old, oh, you're 14 years old, and then all of a sudden they don't talk about their age. I don't get that, because the age is the proof that you have lived. So it means, oh, I've already lived that much. So instead of saying aging, I say living. And as far as the face and as far as the wrinkles and as far as all of that, I made that decision that I rather be me, and my face being, you know, the wrinkles, all of this. I mean, I do facials, I do things like that, but I rather not erase my face. Because I wouldn't recognize myself, and if I didn't recognize myself, I think I would become insecure. So I want to be an interesting older woman. And I mean, every age is incredible, and the older you get, the better it is, because it means you have lived that long. So age for me is a blessing.
Well, that's a wonderful way to end our conversation, because those are just such important words, and that's why we have to all celebrate every day and appreciate. And
That's
by the
right.
way, people, that's not. I think people should do what they need to do to feel good. But I love the idea of embracing your age, celebrating your experience, which shows in your wrinkles, and you know, and
Yeah.
being and being feeling good in the face that you have. So I think it's awesome.
Let me just read what I wrote about age. Age is the map of life, made of memories, stored images, emotions, and experiences. Aging needs to be celebrated every moment, every day, every year. Age is the proof of having lived. Living and loving our age is owning it.
I'll drink to that, Dion von
Thank you.
Furstenberg.
I had a, thank you so much.
So great to see you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Talk to you soon. And
Bye.
everyone, thanks for watching. I thought that was very inspiring conversation, especially when it comes to kind of celebrating who we are at every age. And so I want to say thank you to my friends at Jane Walker. They've been partnering with me on these conversations where we're able to showcase cool mixologists, a master blender of scotch. That was really interesting to me. And next week, we're going to be joined by another female mixologist, and my friend Reshma Sajani. She is the founder of Girls Who Code. She's really encouraging girls to go into STEM professions, and she is very, very cool as well. Okay, everybody, see you soon. Bye.